Hey guys, welcome back. How have you been doing? Comment below on how you've been doing since my last video. If you're new here, a very big welcome to you. If you're a regular here, thank you for the love and welcome back. It's about to rain. It always rains here, right? And you're already used to that. So, without further ado, let's keep to the video. So welcome once again to the Nature Squad. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe. What else haven't I said? Hit that notification bell so that you receive notifications for every time I post a video. Kuna kitu ingine? I think that's basically Matuta Gang. That's basically what he said, right? Yeah. So, as the title suggests, we are talking. Okay, today we're talking about how species interact with each other. So the 5 major types of species interaction. Okay, there are more. People argue that there are more, but we'll focus mainly on the 5 major types of species interaction. So the first one, which is the most common, watu wanapenda kukulana. Anywho, the first one is predation. So what's predation? How do you define this relationship? So predation, here is where one organism kills another organism, or one species kill another species. You get the point. Kukulana. Okay, let me. Yeah. So this is the relationship that you'll find with mostly carnivores and herbivores, and omnivores and herbivores, like lions and deers, cougars and gazelles, birds and insects, sharks and fish, snakes and mice, rats. So I think one thing that I didn't mention, and it's very important to mention, is that this relationship. This is a relationship whereby one organism kills the other to feed on it. Like it doesn't just kill it; it kills to feed on it. So the organism that kills is called the predator, and the organism that is killed is called the prey. Kama vile mnapenda kukulana na kukuliwa, but we won't talk about it. The second species interaction is called competition. Now, how you describe this relationship is when organisms compete with each other for a limited resource. So you can view this relationship at different aspects. A good example is when hyenas and lions are competing for the same carcass. Another example is like when plants are competing with each other to get the little sunlight that is reaching the floor, for lack of a better word. I'm talking about canopies. When there is little sunlight, when there are canopies and the trees prevent much sunlight from reaching the ground, so you'll find that sometimes plants really compete with each other to get the available sunlight that is penetrating through the branches to the ground. Another example of this relationship is okay, and it doesn't necessarily require for these two organisms that are competing for this resource. It doesn't necessarily require for them to have physical contact with each other or to compete with each other physically when they are both physically present at the same time, because we can see this relationship also with let's say birds, that birds or insects that are feeding on a certain plant but at different times of the day. Like maybe this plant, or sorry, this bird or insect, or let me use this organism is feeding on this plant during the day, and this organism is feeding on this plant during the night, and that still equivalates to competition. They don't have to be present at the same time for that relationship to qualify. We also see this relationship with different species of ants when they are competing for territory. Um, Also, we can see this relationship when some plants grow on other plants. Like maybe a plant ilikuwa tu sawa, hata haina maneno, like it's just haiulizi mtu, alafu kiherehere ingine just comes and grows on top of it. Like that's also another form of competition. Another form of competition is when plants blossom at the same time, and they flower at the same time, so they're competing for the same pollinators at that specific time. Any other example of, no, right, that comes to my mind. So that's the second type of species interaction, competition. So as we've said, competition is when organisms compete for a certain limited resource. Another example is also how pandas compete for bamboo with humans. Yeah, pandas really love eating bamboo. Also, another example is how you go, you're competing. You're in a relationship, but you're still competing. But we're not going to have that conversation. And the third type of species interaction, which I don't really like, but anyway, is called parasitism. So we define this relationship by one organism living in or on another organism and feeding from it. But this organism doesn't immediately kill the other organism. Okay, let me give them names so that this makes sense. So the organism that is feeding from the other organism is the parasite, and the organism that is being fed on is the host. So the parasite gets food nourishment, or the parasite gets nourishment from the host. So the main difference between this and predation is that one, the parasite or one organism lives in or on the other organism, and two, the parasite doesn't immediately kill the organism. The parasite doesn't immediately kill the host. So we're using immediately kill because the host is still affected. The host still gets affected, and the host falls sick, which increases the chances of the hosts being fed on by other predators, because they are weak and they can't really defend or escape from predators. So examples of this relationship is ticks on cows, tapeworms in dogs, and also tapeworms in some of you who haven't dewormed of late. Yes, fleas also. But I hate this relationship. You know, some people are just parasites. Like, take any relationship, for example. You just give and give and give and give and give, and the other person just takes and takes and takes and takes. Or maybe the other person just gives and gives and gives to you, and your work is just taking and taking and taking. Hello, parasites. I'm sure we're not ready for this conversation right now. So yes, I've identified the major differences between parasitism and predation. And the fourth type of species interaction is easily my favorite, which is mutualism. So we define mutualism as a cooperative partnership between two organisms in which both organisms benefit. So it's not like parasitism, both of them benefit. A great example would be bacteria and us. So I'm talking of the good bacteria as commonly known. So we have billions of bacteria in our bodies, mostly in the intestinal, in the digestive system, and in our reproductive system, sana sana for the females. So how I would describe this relationship is those bacteria, okay, that bacteria, I'll talk of the intestinal bacteria. The intestinal bacteria breaks down food for us, and they are responsible for digestion, which, if they were not present, food would be impossible to break down and to digest. Bacteria also provide important substances to us which our bodies cannot make. The substances our bodies cannot make on our own. A good example is vitamin K, which is responsible for good clotting of the blood. So you find bacteria is in charge of that, or bacteria does that for us, and in return, we simply give them a warm. How will I describe our body? We simply give them a warm, dark, food-rich environment which they'll thrive in and which they'll live in. So you see, everyone benefits. I told you I love this relationship as it should be. Everyone comes, I don't want to say nusu nusu, but everyone brings something to the table, even with our other relationships. This is how it should be. It shouldn't just be take, 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 and give, give, give. Like, it shouldn't be just one person who takes and another person who gives. No, that leads to a series of very many things, including toxicity, which, as I said, we're not ready for. Okay, me, I'm ready for. It's just you who's not ready for that talk. Anyway, another example is acacia trees and ants. So if you have happened to be near an acacia tree, or if you have seen an acacia tree, okay, not seeing at Ikombali, like if you've been under its shade, you realize that acacia trees occasionally, not occasionally, but most times have ants on them. So that's also a mutual relationship between the acacia and the ants, because the ants get nourishment, the ants get food from the acacia, both protein based food from the leaves. Um, yeah, ants get food from acacia, and in return, ants prevent how to explain this? Ants prevent herbivores from eating acacias. Like, you'll find sometimes even ants attacking like insects which come to acacias, or like sometimes ants even attack organisms that come to feed from acacia. So people are debating about this relationship and saying that it doesn't really qualify as a mutual relationship, but one ecologist decided to take a test or to prove that this is a mutual relationship. So this ecologist decided to spray acacia trees with insecticide, in that it killed ants. And he realized that with time that acacias grew very slow, and acacias were prone to being eaten by herbivores. Like, they were being eaten a lot um as compared to when acacias have that relationship with ants. And the fifth and final species interaction relationship is called commensalism. Well, this is a rare kind of relationship. Some some people argue that it doesn't exist, but others argue that it's the same as mutualism. But there's a difference between commensalism and mutualism. So I would define this relationship as one species benefiting from the other, while the other is neither being helped nor being harmed. Like, one species is benefiting from the other, but the other isn't benefiting, neither is it being harmed. So that rules out both parasitism and mutualism. A good example of this kind of relationship is remoras and sharks. So remoras are a type of fish that are found on top of sharks. They like riding on sharks. Okay, not sure. Okay, they you mostly find them on top of sharks. So what they do is that they get protection from sharks, and they also eat food leftovers from sharks. So that's how they benefit from sharks, both from the tiny bits of food and the protection. But the shark doesn't really benefit from remoras, neither are they harmed by remoras. So the reason why people say that this relationship is the same as mutualism is that either of either of the species is benefiting, but for it to qualify as mutualism, as I said, both species should benefit from each other. And for you to show, or for you to prove that both species are benefiting from each other, if you remove one species from the equation, the other one will suffer. Like what I told you, if we removed the bacteria, the good bacteria in our bodies wouldn't be able to break down food. If, as the example I gave to you, when the ecologist removed ants from acacias, the acacia suffered, so it was a mutual relationship. But in this type of relationship, if you remove the remora, or if you remove the birds, the buffaloes will still live good, and the sharks will still live good. But the birds and the remoras, they get protection, because, okay, how will you come to attack a remora on top of a shark? Like, are you crazy? I get it that you're hungry and that you don't want to starve to death, but you'll be killed before you get the remora. And also the same case to the birds or that you find on buffaloes. So that marks the end of this video. Don't forget to give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't. Don't forget to hit the notification bell if you haven't. Don't forget to share also. And if you're interested in such videos, such content, nature, wildlife, environmental conservation, and all that, please be sure to, what was I to say? Be sure to subscribe. Yeah, be sure to subscribe. What's I really to say subscribe though? Well, be sure to subscribe. Till then, all my love.